All.
Mayor Pro Tem Bliss.
I'm here.
Councilman Fleming.
Here.
Councilman Meir.
Here.
Councilor Rohrbach.
Here.
Councilman Soltis.
Present.
Councilor Wright.
Here.
Mayor Gurlstein.
I am here, thank you. The invocation and pledges leading evening will be led by me. I invite you to stand if you would like. Let us take a moment to ground ourselves in truth. There are times when we find ourselves surrounded not by support, but by illusion, where smiles mask sharp words and collaboration is a performance rather than a principle. May we have the wisdom to recognize environments where trust is eroded and where appearances replace authenticity. May we find the strength to walk away, not out of anger, but in pursuit of peace. As ancient teachings remind us, it is better to stand alone in truth than to remain among those who pretend to build while quietly dismantling. Let us value spaces where people lift each other up with honesty, where integrity guides the work, and where what is spoken in private reflects what is shown in public. May we carry with us the courage to leave what harms us and the clarity to seek what nourishes us. And in doing so, may we create paths wherever we go that make space for truth, healing, and genuine collaboration. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up this evening is approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions this evening? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to presentations. We have from the city manager the marijuana impact report.
Okay, I have to go to the podium for technical difficulties.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Several council meetings ago, council asked me to put together a cannabis policy impact presentation. Oh, great.
Timed out.
Okay, we're having a technical difficulty. We're going to be on hold for a moment. We have it here.
Somebody play some Hall & Oates.
Yeah, really. Okay.
There we go. Yep.
All right. Several council meetings ago, council asked me to put together a marijuana or cannabis policy impact presentation. So I have done that for city council tonight and the public. So the city took a forward-thinking approach to cannabis regulation, recognizing that the potential for economic development and long-term community benefit. Following the legalization in Michigan, the city strategically tied the redevelopment and underutilization of properties to the issuance of cannabis license, aiming to increase the city's taxable value regardless of the ultimate success of any individual business. And in the slide, you can kind of see this slide and the following slide, we have the before and after photos of some of the properties. Specifically, when developing our ordinance, we included the investment in real and personal property as part of the licensing evaluation process. This approach has led to substantial increases in these developed property values and, in turn, taxable revenues. In addition, the licensing process included community support and responsible business operations, such as the installation of flock cameras at many of these businesses. The requirement to redevelop obsolete properties, stack license fees, and community investment has benefited the city financially. This table summarized revenue and economic benefits from cannabis operations. The property tax increase annually is about around $520,963. 68% of this goes to other taxing jurisdictions other than the city. The city tax revenues have increased approximately $165,000 a year from this development. For illustrative purposes, the school district taxable revenue has increased $136,000 a year for these developments. Taxes distributed from the state also equal approximately $175,000. So what does this mean for the city? As explained, the city receives approximately 32% of the taxes we collect. This is about $165,000 a year and equals about 0.017 of a mil. That doesn't sound like much, but each year since the proposal of MH, we have not levied this full tax millage due to revenue policies like this. So this slide summarizes some of the donations to the city. As part of the licensing process, several cannabis companies pledged one-time donations to the city. Many of these donations directly benefited public safety. This table illustrates the majority of this funding and how it's been allocated. So the gateway signage was a project specifically proposed by Quality Roots, and those are the new signs that you see around the city at 14 Mile and John R. and 12 in Stevenson. We also had legal fee reimbursement, traffic safety enhancements, such as the radar signs that you see around the city now. We had evidence tech cameras, a school resource officer, ballistics shields and helmets, and police lockers. So the total that we have had donated is $508,000, and those are one-time donations, so we wouldn't put those towards a reoccurring expense such as staffing. In addition, annual donations to the now nonprofit Madison Heights Community Foundation have supported a wide range of community enhancements, and these kind of summarize it all, but some of the main ones are they've supported the Trail Tunes Festival every year, they've supported Juneteenth every year, they made a large donation to the fitness court at Huffman Park, they make annual donations to the food pantry, they paid for the Active Adult Center Thanksgiving dinner, they paid part of the disc golf course at Rosie's Park. They paid 1 year for community coffee concerts. They have paid for Madison Heights Chamber business education. On the council agenda tonight, you will see that the fire chief asked for $30,000 for a public safety drone. That was approved by this group, and we're just asking for that purchase to be approved tonight. So that's just kind of a quick summary. They've also paid for murals and trees and some things for our library. That's a grant program. It is overseen by myself, the finance director, the city clerk, and 2 residents and a representative from each community or company that donates to this if they wish to send someone. So nonprofits and like boards and commissions and city departments can submit grant applications to this nonprofit, and these group gets together twice a year now and reviews those and makes awards based on if it applies with the city's goals or the community's goals. We also looked at the police data. So we received the police call data from the 2 local dispensaries. So these are the 2 original ones that have been around long enough to actually do any kind of comparison, which would be Puff and Liberty. We compared that to high-traffic retail stores and 2 popular bars in the community. We started in June 1st of 2021 when the marijuana companies opened. The data shows that the cannabis businesses approved through our ordinance generate fewer calls for service than many of the commercial entities. So the major facility places, Puff, Liberty, Quality Roots, the calls that we get from those places and the complaints from residents are not very significant. That is not true for caregiver marijuana license, but that is a completely separate marijuana ordinance and isn't even controlled by our city council. Last but not least are the social impacts. We heard a presentation from the Madison Heights Community Coalition a couple of weeks ago, and I did reach out to them about the social impacts, and my computer now is, sorry, I won't move anymore. So the research found no specific data directly tying marijuana usage in Madison Heights to the marijuana businesses in Madison Heights, but instead all of the research that we have found actually says that there's just a larger acceptance or a greater acceptance towards marijuana as a whole across the entire nation. So since Colorado first legalized recreational marijuana in 2012, 18 additional states have fully approved it. Many more have partially approved it. So just the overall acceptance nationwide has kind of changed, the attitude has changed towards marijuana, and that is the same data that the coalition has found, although they do acknowledge that there is a greater usage. Again, it can't be directly tied back to a specific business in Madison Heights. And with that, I will open it up to any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mrs. Marsh. All right, does anyone on council have any questions?
Yeah, Your Honor,
Please.
in terms of police department, how many times did somebody get pulled over because they were using marijuana under influence? Do you know?
That I don't know, but we might could find that out. I'm not sure how that's categorized,
How
but,
that compares to alcohol?
okay. I can ask if I'm not sure how they code it that way. Any other questions, comments?
Anyone else?
Your Honor,
Yes.
just a few comments. First, thank you so much for compiling the report. Hopefully, we can get a clip with just this section of the meeting and post it out on social media so that way people can be aware. I think the crime statistics as well as the financial information particularly, I think stands out. I think it perhaps even contradicts what we all might have even assumed going into it. If I'm doing my back of the napkin math accurately, it's about $1 million or so in one-time type of donations to the city, between the straight-up donations as well as the community foundations donations. And then it looks like about $500,000 annually between the tax increase just to the city council, as well as the state revenue sharing and the business license fees. So seeing that, I can with certain say that without doing this, it would have led to either a reduction in staff. We certainly wouldn't have been able to supplement the resource officer at the school without it, but we likely would have had to have done a tax increase at some point. That's just no other way to say it. So I'm really happy to see it, and happy to see that the things that our council did when we first put this into place is part of what's leading to this, making sure that our ordinance and the scoring was geared towards specifically filling buildings that had been vacant for a while. I don't know if anybody remembers, but that Fairlanes bowling alley, the roof had caved in prior to it becoming a dispensary. And so, you know, businesses like that that are kind of like an eyesore and limiting the city because we don't get the additional taxable revenue because nobody's doing anything with that building. I think this definitely helped to change that, and the community good, I think, is significantly outweighed, I think, even what any of us would have expected going into this. And I will say this too. Council at the time, and I will say for me, the same holds true today, we had an awareness that cannabis was here. It was legal, it was here. If somebody buys it in Hazel Park and they drive on our streets, same exact issues. But can we have them purchase it in Madison Heights so that way at least we can fund our fire department and our police department off of that revenue? And I think that has clearly been a success, and I think it was really interesting to see the crime statistics as well, you know, those individual calls for service, because I think the expectation is something like a Meijer, a Target, or even like a bar like Selena's or On the Rocks. I think the idea and the inference there is that those are going to be far less calls than something like cannabis, which has only been legalized in the last 5 years. And seeing that change, I think, is important. And I also want to say one really quick thing about the shift in thinking around cannabis. Gen Z, statistically, there's been several studies in the past few years. They are drinking alcohol far less than any other generation before, and a majority of them actually prefer cannabis to alcohol. And that coincides with other studies that suggest that long-term effects of cannabis are significantly lower than those of binge drinking and alcoholism. And so I think from the perspective of the city being able to treat these dispensaries in the same way that we treat liquor stores or even bars, I think has really led to not just becoming, I guess, advantaged by the financials around it. I think it's also clearing the way to be able to attract Gen Z homeowners who prefer that to all of the liquor stores that might have predated the cannabis.
Thank you. Any other comments, any questions from council? So I'm just going to make a couple of statements here. So in 2018 or 19, when we were first talking about this, I went to one of the high schools. I was involved in a discussion with some of the students about this, and one of the students said something to the effect of, can we, if we don't allow them, is what we were talking about, so we hadn't approved it yet, but they said if we don't allow to have the stores here in Madison Heights, can we reach out to the other cities that have them and ask them to not sell to people who live in Madison Heights? And I said, no, we can't do that. If someone comes to a store, the city cannot overreach and say you can't do that too. So just to Councilman Soltis's question regarding the number of people who are driving, and I don't know what that number is, I have no idea up or down, but if we weren't selling cannabis in the city, that wouldn't stop people from using. And I talked to people in other cities who come here. They come to Madison Heights to purchase their marijuana. Then a lot of them go to Costco right afterwards, or they go somewhere else. So it's like any other business. They come to do the one thing, and while they're here, they do the other. The other thing I'm curious about is, so the issues that people had said to me, the reason they didn't want it here was the increase in crime, which we're seeing there isn't one. But the other was home values, and I'm curious if we have numbers on that, because the information I was able to pull shows that home values from June of 21 to, say, June of 25 have gone up in Madison Heights. I'm just wondering if that's
Well, they
information you
have, but I don't think you can directly relate that to the fact that you have marijuana here or not, because it's gone up drastically across the nation, actually.
Right, okay. So I'm just curious if there was, I guess my point is, I don't think that it's been negative to the home values. And that's it for me. Thank you for this presentation. Appreciate getting all this information. And it's great to see where the money's going. I really like seeing that a lot of this is going towards the public safety, which I know a number of us requested a year or two ago. So thank you for that. And we'll move on to meeting open to the public. This is the opportunity for the public to speak. I ask that you go to the podium, that you address your comments to me, keep your comments to 3 minutes, give your name, address, any affiliation with the city, and with that, meeting is open to the public. Please, sir, go ahead.
I am knowing Larry Sheeman scared to, on camera, start charging Cheryl Rodman, Rosalind Grafstein with hate crime, discrimination, conspiracy. I am knowing Madison Heights Police scared to, on camera, to arrest Cheryl Rosman on these charges. I am knowing Kenneth Person Hunt's scared to agree to all of these charges. I am knowing Charlie Langton's knowing about right to video trials in court charges to show all of these charges. Who's charged on TV Channel 2? I am knowing Charlie's to not know of charging on Cheryl Rosamond. I am knowing Charles to not show charging on Cheryl Rosamond on TV Channel 2, where staff do not care about fact. Dennis EMMI's hate crime, discrimination, conspiracy, starting in Ferndale. Karen McDonald's legally not able to prosecute in this Michigan. Ferndale police scared to on-camera arrest on Channel 2 Dennis for Dennis's hate crime, discrimination, conspiracy. For Peter Taylor, whose no conviction at court record in one's court in Madison Heights, Pontiac. On January 27, 2025, Rosalind said the United States
So are
ICE
you almost done? Your 3
Yes.
minutes is up.
ICE is
You can give you another 30 seconds.
to deport citizens of the United States, Madison Heights, where W. Burnett Jones Black, who's eager to win the approval of whites and willing to cooperate with whites. And one of the whites is the said Dennis.
All right, thank you, sir. Your time is up. You are welcome to come back at our next meeting and continue if you're not finished. If anybody else would like to speak, I ask that you take the podium. Again, you've got 3 minutes. All right, seeing no one wish to speak, going to close public comment, and we're going to move on to the consent agenda. We have 2 items. One is from the Deputy City Manager and the City Clerk. It's a resolution establishing the time for regular City Council meetings, and the other is just the meeting minutes from June 23rd. Can I
request that we take them individually?
get a motion from council? You would like to make a motion to pull them individually? Do we need to vote on that? Or can we
I don't
just-
think. I think
Okay.
this is a
All right,
request.
so then let's just go with number 3. We'll start with the Deputy City Manager and City Clerk, or the City Clerk, resolution establishing time for regular City Council meetings.
So Section 6.1 of the city charter specifies that city council establishes the time and the place for the regular city council meetings by resolution. Presented for council's consideration is a resolution that would establish a meeting time of 6:30 for the regular council meetings and would take effect beginning the first meeting of October 2025. Currently, these meetings start at 7:30. Should council concur, staff recommends a motion to adopt the resolution establishing the time for regular city council meetings as presented.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion from council to approve, please?
Your Honor, I move that council concurs with staff and adopts the resolution establishing the time for regular council meetings as presented.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, I support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
the reason I wanted to take this individually is to understand why we would want to start in October. I think the biggest thing that this will allow is for more of our seniors to be able to attend these meetings. 7:30 is incredibly late, especially as some of these agendas can go pretty late into the night. And so I think starting as early as we can would be good. Starting this, instead of the first meeting in October, maybe the first meeting in September or even August, depending on how much we can get the notice out. But I'd love to understand some of the thinking and whether or not this might be able to start earlier than October.
There's a reason.
So staff wanted to start it last meeting. But we actually chose October because coincidentally, we put out our first citywide newsletter insert in the CNG. I hope everybody saw it. And on the front page was attend a city council meeting. They start at 7:30 and it covered the next 3 months. So we didn't want to be like, we've advertised this at 7:30. Oops, now it's really 6:30 because we changed it. So, and we thought daylight lasts longer through summer, so at least we would be changing it before winter. So all of us actually could get here and back maybe before it got darker or before the weather got bad. So October seemed to be a good transition period. It's the start of the next newsletter. It'll give us a chance to advertise it more appropriately to all of the residents and afford them all the opportunities to show up, because I wouldn't want somebody to show up at 7:30, as short as our meetings are now. We might already be finished. So that was the thinking behind it. Of course, it's up to council to set the time, so you can change it as soon as next meeting if you want, because we send out a public notice in the agenda, so.
Thank you. Any other comments, council? No comments, okay. All right, so yes, Melissa and I had talked about this, and I feel like we talked about this a few years ago, like, when I first came on, it was something, and it wasn't, there wasn't a big interest from that council to do this, so it came up again a few months ago, and I had suggested 7, and she had said 6:30. She had talked to whoever on council, and everyone seemed fine with 6:30. I am fine with 6:30. I just thought that I wasn't sure that people were going to want to do an entire hour early. And so she said, this is great, but we're just sending out to tell everybody that it's at 7:30, so we can't really, she just said, we can't really suddenly change it. So I'm in favor of this. If we hadn't sent that out, then absolutely, I'd say we should be doing it next meeting, but we don't want people showing up at 7:30 because they read our very first insert, which would at that point have incorrect information. So with that, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. And then the other was the regular city council meeting minutes of June 23rd. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
Your Honor,
Yes.
motion to approve the minutes as printed.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. And then we have our 2 bid award purchases from the fire chief. The first one is the public safety drone grant purchase.
So in May, the fire department submitted a grant application to the Madison Heights Community Foundation Grant Program, which coincidentally is the program you just heard about in my cannabis presentation, for the acquisition of a state-of-the-art dual-use drone system intended to enhance the operational capabilities of both the fire and police departments. We are pleased to report that the application was approved and the department was awarded a grant for $30,000. The drone system provides real-time video streaming, high-resolution zoom capabilities, thermal imaging, night vision, and LTE 5G connectivity, as well as an integrated spotlight, speaker, and microphone. These features will offer significant operational enhancements across both departments. Staff recommends council approve the purchase of a Sky Duo X10 drone from Safeware through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program in the amount of $29,969 to be fully funded through the award grant. And Chief Lolito did all the research on this, and he is here tonight if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Can I please get a motion from council to approve?
Your Honor,
Yes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a Skydio X10 drone from Safeware through the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Program for the amount of $29,969 to be fully funded through an awarded grant.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, the reason why I wanted to make the motion for this is because, 1, it's got funding from a grant program, which is awesome. 2, this is a great tool. I am an amateur drone operator, and I see the advantage they give just with regular photography. And I think as a tool for both our public safety, our police, and our fire, I think it's a fantastic asset for them to have, and it can save some lives and, in all ways.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'll ditto that, basically, a huge advantage to our fire department and police department. We saw some of the demo of what our neighboring city, Hazel Park, is doing with that. And I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to the help with all kinds of stuff and hopefully avoid some of these chase crashes that we've seen lately.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'll just say, I was thinking of the same thing, Councilman Muir. The chase scenario, being able to, identify people when they're driving a vehicle far and wide without having to chase them down necessarily. I don't know if that's exactly how it will be used, but there was a recent crash nearby that killed a gentleman from, I believe, Roseville, but I have mutual friends with him. And, but he was, an innocent bystander. It was a police chase, and the person that was driving the vehicle, running from the police, ended up killing this man. And it's terribly sad, but something like this is another tool in that toolbox for both our police and fire to identify both suspects and solutions to situations without putting people in more danger. So I'm really excited about this. So thank you, Chief, for reaching out and getting this grant and making this part of our toolbox here in the city.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? So I do have one question. Just want a clarification. So this is part of the public safety funding that came from the latest lawsuit a year or two ago? Is that part of
No,
this?
it is not.
This is
It's
just
just
separate from
straight up
that?
a grant application. So
Okay.
the Madison Heights Community Foundation takes grant applications twice a year now. There's a website that demonstrates this. And when the last round of grant applications were due, Chief Lolito submitted a grant application for that, and the board reviewed it and awarded the grant.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. Congratulations, Chief. And then the next one is also from the fire team, the turnout gear grant purchase.
In May of 2024, the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity announced a grant for full-time fire departments to support the purchase of a second set of turnout gear for firefighters. This program provides up to $3,500 per eligible firefighter and is designed to enhance the safety and operational readiness of firefighters. In August of 2024, City Council approved Phase 1 of this project, which included the purchase of 17 sets of turnout gear. We are now requesting approval for Phase 2, which consists of purchasing an additional 5 sets. Staff recommends that City Council waive the formal bid process and approve the purchase of 5 sets of turnout gear from Axes and Irons through Sourcewell at the total cost of $16,070.40. Funding for this purchase has been allocated in the fiscal year 2026 budget, and it's fully reimbursable through the grant.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion from council to approve, please?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that City Council, do we need to waive the formal bidding process and approve it, or do we just?
Not technically, since it's on the Sourcewell cooperative bid,
Okay.
so you can just approve it.
All right, make a motion that City Council waive the formal bidding process and approve the purchase of 5 sets of turnout gear from Axes and Irons through Sourcewell at a total cost of $16,070.40.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, support.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. Congratulations, Chief. Thank you. And then next up, we have ordinances. So we have the amendment of membership appointment process from mayor-appointed boards and commissions to be regular council appointments.
Councilman Fleming, with the support of Mayor Grafstein, has asked staff to revise the appointment process for those boards and commissions whose members are appointed by the mayor with consent of the council, to amend them to have membership appointed by the city council as a whole, like most of our other boards. The city currently has 6 boards and commissions that are mayor appointments with the consent of council. They are the Crime Commission, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Elected Officials Compensation Commission, the Downtown Development Authority, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and the Planning Commission. The Crime Commission was reestablished in 2021 by resolution, and the amended resolution is presented for council's consideration. The Parks and Recreation Advisory Board and the Compensation Commissions are both established by ordinance and will need to be amended through the ordinance process with a first and second reading process prior to final adoption. The proposed ordinance amendments are also presented tonight for council's consideration. The Planning Commission is governed by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act 33 of 2008, and the Downtown Development and the Brownfield Redevelopment Authorities are governed by the Recodification Tax Financing Act 57 of 2018. Both of these are state laws that cannot be amended by local government. Therefore, the committee membership appointment process must remain as they currently exist for these three boards. Should council wish to amend the process for appointments of the Crime Commission, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and the Compensation Commission, each item will need to be considered separately. And I have sample motions included if you need them.
All right, thank you. So we'll do these one at a time. Can I please get a motion for number 1 to approve the resolution amending the City Crime Commission?
And just for reference, so the Crime Commission is a resolution, so you would be making a motion to approve the resolution amending the Crime Commission as presented.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution amending the City Crime Commission as presented.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I just have a question. I just want to understand, why are we changing this policy?
So council is made up of 7 members, one of whom is the mayor. So the role of the mayor is to chair this meeting. And then there's other responsibilities, roles that the mayor also has. And one of them is appointments to certain boards, but not really sure why the mayor needs to make appointments to these boards. Like, the mayor's not even on the Parks and Rec board. I mean, I was years ago before I was even on council. So it was something that Councilman Fleming and I had been talking about. You know, I'm making appointments to the Crime Commission, and I say to him, who do you think should be on this? And he's telling me, you know, what his thoughts are and that kind of thing. So it was a conversation that turned into, well, why do we even have mayor's appointments? And I asked staff to look at this, and this is what they've come up with. So the Parks and Rec, even though the mayor's not on it, and then the DDA and the planning, those are mayor appointments, which we are not dealing with right now. But the other ones, those ones, it's, you know, let's change them. Like, I don't know why we have them that way. So I'm trying to streamline things. You know, part of the, then I can't remember if you were on council or not when we were doing this, but we had ad hoc when we were making appointments to the boards and commissions. And at some point, I don't remember when, but at some point we changed it so that we basically do all our appointments in February and August. And we had a lot of language from our boards and commissions that we were just trying to streamline it and clean it up. And so this is just another way to do this. Just make them all council appointments. Does that explain it?
I guess the only reason why I asked was, doesn't it already have to be approved by council, these appointments?
Yes and no, but this just makes them. And I remember, I don't know if it was the last time we did this or the time before that, and I was just sitting here going alphabetically, okay, Arts Board and Library Board and whichever, and I got to wherever it was, and I think Council Rohrbach said, Mayor, that one's yours. Because it was just, you know, I'm like, oh, that's right, that one was mine. So, yes, they do, but this just streamlines it and makes it all the same.
Thank you. That answers that.
Any other questions?
Your
comments?
Honor.
Yeah, please.
I can't remember, and I'm trying to pull it up here, but I can't find it. The ZBA, is that also a mayor's appointment? It's not?
No. It's not.
How is that
Your Honor,
appointed? I can't remember.
It's
ZBA
council.
is statutory.
It's statutory?
Statutory, so we can't change it, just like DDA,
Okay.
Brownfield, and Planning.
That's what I wondered. It wasn't mentioned, but I
We
thought.
don't have it listed as a mayor's appointment is the question.
Yeah, ZBA doesn't have that in it.
Doesn't have that in it.
The Enabling
Council.
Act, no.
How do we, I can't remember. My mind is blank on
I
this. I
think it's
can't.
just a regular council appointment.
Just somebody from council makes the motion and we go with it.
Most likely the
Or-
zoning board rep.
Okay,
Generally,
well, yeah,
it's whoever the rep is.
all right,
Mr. Fleming, is that you?
okay,
But it was it's a decision by council.
yeah. I just couldn't remember if it was I didn't want to leave it off if it was part of the
It shouldn't be part of
conversation.
it. No, appreciate that. All right, any other,
Your Honor.
yes?
I'll just add that back in the day, the late and phenomenal Councilman Corbett and I would always laugh and joke about the fact that we had to make a motion to confirm the mayor's appointment of somebody whom they hadn't even met for a board that they weren't on. So I think that probably helps, eliminate that issue for future councils down the line. It really doesn't make a lot of sense, and I wish we could just streamline it all the way across. But
Thank you. All right, any other questions, comments? All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no.
No.
All right, motion carries 6-1. And then the next one, ordinance 2203, the amendment to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. This is the first reading.
So that would be a motion to adopt ordinance 2203, an amendment to the Parks and Recreation Board membership on first reading, and schedule the second reading for our next meeting on July 28th.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
Your Honor, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2203, amendment to the Parks and Recreation Board membership on first reading and schedule a second reading on July 28th, 2025.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no.
Opposed? No.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-1. And then the last one, ordinance 2203, the amendment to Compensation Commission, the appointment and confirmation of members. This is also the first reading.
So that would be motion to adopt ordinance 2204, amendment to the Compensation Commission and confirmation of its members on the first reading, and schedule the second reading for our next meeting, July the 28th.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2204, amendment to Compensation Commission appointments and confirmation of members on first reading, and schedule a second reading on July the 28th, 2025.
All right, thank you. Can I get support, please?
Your Honor, I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing,
So, question.
Yes, please.
So is there a council member on the Compensation Commission?
No, that's a conflict because you're actually setting your own wage.
So I can follow the other two because, the mayor would reach out to that council member that's on that commission. So who's going to, I guess, who's going to make that recommendation to council for the Compensation Commission when that comes up?
sure. No, that's a good question. So this one, it is a little bit different because we don't have a council representative on this. And that one is something where council is really going to have to work together on that. So just for our residents, we can sit here and we can have a discussion because, we've called a meeting, and so we can do that. We can have a conversation back and forth. I think that person A, I think that person B, back and forth. We can have that conversation. When we are not at a council meeting, we can have one-on-one conversations. But we cannot, we can all go out for a drink or something and talk about the Lions game, but we cannot talk about city business. So this means that we would take a look, everyone individually would take a look at the 10 applicants, however many people apply, and then have conversations with each other. I think that it should be this person, I think it should be that person, and it was something that we actually did when we set up the HREC 5 years ago, was we had different conversations where we had the people who had applied, and then I had different conversations, and I believe it wasn't just me, I believe other council members had conversations with each other, one-on-one, with sort of the list of, these are the people who applied, these are the people that I think, And so this makes it a lot more collaborative, and I think it's really important that our residents know that council works collaboratively, so this would be the same kind of thing.
Your Honor,
Yes.
might I suggest that, because this has to go for a second reading, I believe, in the interim between, might I suggest that the staff puts a recommendation, so that way, because this is dealing with council compensation, it adds a third party saying this is the most qualified person, and maybe that can come out of the clerk's office, a suggestion to council with a recommendation. Council can still choose as a majority to go with another candidate or another recommendation, but I think that there should be a staff recommendation, much like most of the business that we vote on here has a staff recommendation.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Are there any other questions, comments?
Your Honor, Councilman Muir, I appreciate you bringing up that point about this particular commission being different, especially since, like, right now, our practice is for the person appointed to a board or commission is, we typically know all the people, and we can make recommendations about who we think would be a good fit. But again, it has to be collaborative because you need full approval of the rest of council. And this one definitely is outside of the realm of that. So either the recommendation by staff, but I think it might still be a good one to keep as a mayor's appointment, because even with recommendation from staff to all of us, right? But also could have a one-on-one conversation with the mayor to say, okay, this is the person, this is why. It's harder to have, 7 one-on-one conversations for staff rather than just one. So I might be inclined to say maybe we don't do this one and change it from mayor's appointment, but rather keep it as is, or change it so that it would include keep it as mayor's appointment, but also include staff recommendation in part of the ordinance. So I'm inclined to vote no on this, is what I'm saying.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Your Honor, I believe that, I think it should work just like Mayor Pro Tem Bliss states, where we have the staff gives a recommendation, because if we have it with the mayor, it still takes away from the collaboration, and also, it's really not, it's better that we're not at a conflict of interest here, where we're making a recommendation of people that we know that could be biased towards us to increase our compensation, versus having a staff member, like someone like our city manager, who is going to be able to just really pick the best people that would be able to make a financial recommendation for compensation for our pay.
Okay. So right now, we've got the motion. We don't need to amend this to say that we would like staff input. That can just come about, okay.
We can do that before second reading.
Okay, all right. Councilor Rohrbach, you have something else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think it eliminates the collaboration, because all of these decisions really have to be collaborative, no matter who is representing the council on these boards and commissions. My thought is that how do I want to say this? I'm sorry, I'm just collecting my thoughts. I'm a writer. I like to write all my thoughts down, and it's hard to do sometimes. But my thought about it is, it remains I don't think there's any conflict, right? Because it still has to be brought forth by someone and then voted by everybody. But what used to happen a lot more often before we came to this more routine of whoever was on that commission would make the recommendation and make the motion. A lot of times, in my recollection of before we made that change, it seemed like whoever was first would make the recommendation, right? And, most of the time, a lot of people would sit here and go, I don't know why they're making that recommendation, or, there's a little bit of like guesswork, and oftentimes, to to be completely honest. It was a little bit of guesswork, a little bit of trying to read somebody's mind while you're sitting on the dais here, and a little bit of, well, you know, she got in there first, or he spoke up first, so I guess we're going to, you know, approve that. Like, it turned into a little bit of a contest for a reach for the microphone. That was my impression of the experience when I first came on council. Not everybody might have that same experience, but that was definitely my experience. Because when you first are join council, for anybody listening, your very first meeting is you're appointing everybody to boards and commit, or you're appointing yourselves to sit on boards and commissions and things like that, and you're very much like, what's going on? You know, like your very first council meeting is a little bit crazy because it feels like a little bit of a, like, do I want to do that? I don't know. I think I do. He said my name, so I guess I'm going to do that. There's a lot of that goes on, and I'm not saying that that would be the case here, but I just don't think it would be the worst thing to say, okay, we know the mayor is going to make the appointment, so perhaps if I thought, oh, you know what, I know somebody great for this, the council or the staff have recommended it to the mayor, and I could go to the mayor and say, hey, mayor, I agree with staff. I think that's a great option. Do what you will with it, you know, that it just kind of gives us a little bit more structure in that instance. That's my thought.
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
So we've been talking about this for like 10 minutes, which is easily 9 minutes and 30 seconds longer than I wanted to talk about this going into this meeting.
I'm very sorry.
But Councilor Robach's discussion actually just brought up a hypothetical in my head where what if, because the mayor would have to nominate, council just simply is there to accept the mayor's appointment? There is a potential scenario, and I don't know, maybe our city attorney can tell us if it's ever happened before, but there is the scenario where the mayor either refuses to appoint anybody but their preferred candidate. If council doesn't want to, it creates a standstill and potentially not a majority on the board. Or a scenario where every meeting they keep proposing like the same person. Now, I'm not saying that that would happen or has happened, but as Councilor Robach was talking, that hypothetical popped into my head where if you remove the members, like we are just voting on the candidates in front of us, it stops any potential gridlock because, you know, the only gridlock you're going to have is if a majority can't approve a candidate. And that's a majority doing it, not one person deciding whether or not to nominate a candidate. Because as I understand it, and again, the city attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that it's currently written, council cannot appoint somebody without a mayor recommendation. So that could create conflict. I'm not saying that it would, but just as you were talking, that hypothetical came into my head.
So
Your
that
Honor,
is,
I'm
oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
Your Honor,
Please.
maybe I'd try to put this in context for the council as to this particular commission, Salary Compensation Commission. They meet once every other year in an odd number of years, and they're required to meet during a specified time period to make recommendations on the salary of mayor and the salary of city council members. And council then has the right either to accept in whole, reject or accept in part. So what we're talking about is an amendment which would eliminate the requirement that that members to this Salary Compensation Commission be put forth and appointed by the mayor first, subject to confirmation by council. So the intent of the amendment is for the council as a whole to make whatever recommendations they want on members of this commission and then vote in a majority vote rules as to who. It in essence creates a little more flexibility because any member of council could bring forth a recommendation of a member to serve on this board. And they're limited by the number of days they can serve in the odd numbered years. There's a maximum of 15 days. Normally, it's a 2 or 3 hour meeting, and that's it every other year.
Mayor, I have a question, just in follow-up to that scenario and that
Sure,
whole
go ahead.
situation. Sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
should have waited. My question, though, is, this all gets us back to the same point, right? It has to come before council. when we already have to have a majority. So aren't we just kind of going in a kind of insanity loop for no reason?
Well, so a minute ago, I was just going to confirm what Councilman Bliss said. If the mayor chose to never bring forth a candidate, you would never be filling the spot. So that's true anytime there's a mayor appointment. If the mayor chooses to not appoint anybody, then the seat just stays vacant. You could not then say, hey, I know this great person I want to appoint to the Compensation Commission. There wouldn't be anybody for you to confirm. So this would at least eliminate that, and it would be up to the whole council. If the whole council didn't want to appoint anybody, then that's the way it is. But as a mayor appointment, the mayor has to put forth a name for you to then confirm. You can vote it down. She can't just appoint somebody without council's approval, but at least you approve it or not, but she could not put forth a name if she wanted to.
I'll just give an example, not for this board specifically, but there have been times when we are going through, and I have made the decision based on the fact that whatever board has made quorum, and for whatever reason, we may have people who have requested to join a board, and I have said I am not making an appointment. And there could be a situation where I've made the decision that I don't want to make an appointment to the Crime Commission, or whatever it is. And as it stands now, if I don't make that appointment, that person's not getting appointed. The mayor has to make the appointment. So, as I said, there have been a few times where I have not made an appointment, and it has not been an issue, but potentially there could be a situation where it does become an issue, and this just takes that away. This becomes, again, this is the group working together.
And, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Okay. Just really quick, one final point on this issue. Because it's dealing with compensation, that type of decision-making, withholding making an appointment, could be a real deep sign of corruption, where the only person being put forward would be somebody who would recommend a raise to a majority of council. But if the council then votes that person down and they never make the appointment, that puts council in kind of a standstill and a gridlock over something that is compensation. And that board has to meet. So and they have that 15-day window, so it does create some conflict. So again, way more time than I wanted to spend on this, but I guess I'm saying now I support it.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I appreciate that you don't want to spend any time on it, but here we are. So we're going to, and you spent time on it too, it wasn't just me. My thought is, like, this hypothetical situation where the mayor just may never appoint to this board, like, in the history of the city of Madison Heights, I don't believe that has been an issue. And so we haven't, but there have been times, as you said, Mayor, that you decided not to appoint to a vacancy. Would you speak to, like, the reasoning behind why you would not want to appoint in a vacancy for a particular spot?
So I can only speak to I don't know the number of times I've done it, maybe twice. And that would be that the board, again, not this board specifically, but the board would have been making quorum, and whoever it was that applied wasn't, the one or two applicants, however many, I don't remember. I know that I have done it, or not done it. Because when looking at the different boards, for example, the Crime Commission or the Parks and Rec, on Crime Commission, I had someone who applied to Crime Commission, and I spoke to them, and they did not have any kind of background at all related to crime prevention. And we had a conversation, and I said, well, why don't you apply for Parks and Rec? And they did, that just based on what their background was. So when I don't make an appointment to one of the boards, that would be why. So with this specific, I don't know, because this one, I made the appointments when they were, and they were probably unanimously approved, but potentially there could be a situation where the mayor does not feel that any of the people who've applied would make sense. But it's a hypothetical, so I can't give a reason why. I can just say why in the past for other boards I have.
So, Your Honor, I agree, it's just hypothetical, and I'm not expecting, like, concrete answers, but I think all of this is hypothetical. All of the, like, well, somebody could do this, or somebody could do that, like, none of that is the case, right? We're not experiencing, high rates of unethical behavior amongst our members of the city council, thank God, and so I'm gonna vote no on this, just because I feel like it's not necessary to make this change. If I saw that there was a necessity for it, like the other two, they have members, then we have a lot more kind of interaction with these other boards. Great. This one, it seems to me like it would make more sense to remain as the mayor's appointment, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Your Honor, I want to stress about this for a minute here. When we talk about hypotheticals, we have a lot of things in our charter that talk about just, about situations that have not happened, but could happen in the future, so that those future situations have a remedy to resolve them. And so, why we may not be talking about a situation right now or in the immediate future, but years from now, we could have these issues, and then we'd have a remedy or a resolution, a pathway to resolve them in the future, and that's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Mayor, did you have something? No? Okay. Any?
Your Honor, I was just going to say, I mean, my rationale for saying no is the same as the other. The place where we discuss it is here in the diocese, and we come to an agreement. And so I understand the doomsday scenarios where maybe the mayor says, I'm not going to appoint someone, but they're not appointing. They're just like bringing them forward like a motion. So I don't think it's that, something that we need to dwell over. I agree we don't need to dwell over it, but we also don't need to make unnecessary changes either.
Any other? All right, so I will be voting in favor of this. I'm not even going to get into that, why we've already had that conversation. So if there's no more discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All against, say no.
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 Okay, so that passes 5-2. Mr. Mayor, you were a yes on that. Okay, thank you. And that's it for regular meetings. So I'm going to invite closing comments, starting with Mr. Mayor. Councilman Mayor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I won't go into all the details, but a lot of wonderful things happening in the rec department and over at the library and the Active Adult Center. So check out their websites. We got Makers Mondays and Teen Tuesdays and all kinds of wonderful things going on in the city. Arts Board had their first concert last week, which I couldn't attend because I was at baseball, but looking forward to the rest of the summer on those. Karaoke night is on this Wednesday, so please come on out and join us and sing your favorite tune. Once again, Little League season wrapped up last week, and once again, Councilman Fleming's team played in the World Series and came up a little short. And once again, Sherman and Sherman Blue Jays faced off with Councilor Wright's Athletics and in the city championship game. And I'm happy to say that, happy to say for Larry, that his team actually completed, if you recall, last year they came up one run short and had the winning run on second base and tying run on third base. This year they completed the comeback. They got down a little bit early and came up back and won 14-11. So once again, they faced off in the championship game, and Sherman and Sherman came out on top this year. So thank you for all your support for Little League, and I'll continue to keep going with that, and we'll look forward to further battles next year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Bliss?
Yes, Your Honor. First and foremost, happy birthday to Councilman Meir, who spent the better part of his birthday debating clearly influential future policy for our city. But thank you for being here with us tonight on your birthday. I also wanted to highlight the first concert in the park last week. it rained and we still had good attendance. I took my kids, it was just, I don't know, it reminded me of when I was young here. We had the 3 summer festivals in the park, and everybody was just dancing and vibing, all ages. My kids were not even the youngest there. There were several seniors there. I think the age gap between youngest and oldest was probably like 70 years. And the band was fabulous. They played everything from Motown to modern hits, and yeah, it was just a great experience. I encourage everybody to come out to the band shell for all these events. Because they're a blast, and it's a free concert that you don't otherwise get to, or karaoke in the park. Who doesn't want to sing karaoke in the park? But I think also your attendance is a vote to keep doing it, to keep investing in it, to keep having not just the city, but also the volunteers putting their time and effort into making those things happen. Because if you don't show up, it'll just never happen again. And then a future council 20 years from now will be like, I remember that great summer that we had these concerts in the park. Boy, I wish we could bring those back again. So let's not let that happen. Everybody show up to at least one of these 4 concerts in the park. We got one of 3 left now. The next one is next Wednesday, and it's a Paul Parente Jazz Band. So if you love good jazz, come on out for that. It was also cool to see that even the drone that we approved tonight was a grant from the Community Foundation established by the dispensaries. So shout out to all former and current members of council who helped to make that possible through the years of good policy in a very complicated area of law. Also props to our staff and city attorney's office for protecting us from some of the worst of it that we saw with some of our neighbors around Michigan. Also want to highlight the Trail Tune submission deadline is today, so if you're one of the 4 people watching this right now and you know of a musician, let them know to submit for Trail Tunes. You can find on the Arts Board Facebook page the submission link, but that deadline expires at midnight tonight, and the subcommittee will be picking this year's Trail Tunes lineup. Very excited for that. I think additional note, maybe a sad note, I was a little disappointed that the flyer that was outlining the trash cans program did not include the information that was detailed on the program for the seniors and those with disabilities in the cards. I received a lot of messages after that went out, so hoping that our staff can put out maybe another mailer on that. Maybe that can be a coordination with local press and reporters. Maybe it's a targeted mailer at those who are most likely to need the program. But we got to make sure that the people who need it know it's there and available, because otherwise they're going to be very worried about getting that big can out, especially in the wintertime. 2 final quick things. First, the council filing deadline is the 22nd, and there are plenty of boards and commission openings. There is never a better way to make a difference on the community that you love and live in than to be a part of it. And that's from the boards and commissions all the way to whether or not you're running for council or for mayor. Hats off to everyone who's willing to put in the time and effort to be able to make this city a little bit better. And also, if you're angry, if you don't like some of the decisions that were made, even if you can't, you're not going to run for council and you don't have the time to be able to join a board and commission, shoot the council an email. Let us know your feelings one way or the other. That level of activism has decreased significantly over the 12 years that I've been in this chair. And I think it's hurting us as a community. I think we are now more likely to post on Facebook than to go to the people that are actually making these decisions. And so I just encourage everybody, again, the 4 people that are watching, please reach out to council, make your voice heard in that way. And if you have the time, please join a board and commission or even run for city council, because we consistently benefit from new voices, fresh ideas, and people coming into the fold. And finally, a really sad note, as was mentioned earlier, Alex Habib was killed by a reckless driver during a police chase that hit 130-plus miles an hour in Macomb County. He was a husband, he was a father, and he was a member of the Lamfair graduating class of 2015. Far too young. So I'd love it if my peers would indulge a quick moment of silence for him and his family. Thank you. And in the appropriate time, if we could have staff write up a resolution to his family, I would appreciate that as well. That's it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, and I second that if you need more than one person on that. Councilor Wright?
Absolutely, absolutely right thing to do. I want to say thank you to DPS for doing a fantastic job at Festival in the Park. It was a phenomenal event. I guess there were like 10,000 to 15,000 people there, which is insane. So great job, great fireworks, great atmosphere. And I was talking to one of the officers on the way out, and I said, this has been a very quiet event. And he said, don't say that. And I was like, all right, I won't say quiet. I said it like 2 more times accidentally, but it was a very quiet, fantastic community event. On that note, I also would like to let everyone know to get ready for Revenant in the Heights, September 13th. We are starting to ramp up for that event. We will have some cool sponsors this year. I'm excited to say, and we're going to bring in our partnership with the fire department as well. And the local chamber is going to have some folks who want to participate. So if you want to sponsor, we're going to have more details for you soon, but save the date for September 13th. Revenant in the Heights should be more cars. There won't be a cooking competition this year, sadly. I was talked out of it, but we're going to find a way to have a cooking competition some other time. But September 13th, Revenant in the Heights is going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be more cars, more people, great time. So that's all I have. Oh, and other than the mayor's choice and the fire chief and the police chief's choice, this year we're going to add a city council award. Talk about collaboration, where city council members together will pick and award a car. So come on out, come participate.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman?
Your Honor, real quickly, I would like to thank Councilman Muir on giving such a thorough game summary of the Blue Jays championship win over Councilor Wright's A's. The series between us is now tied 1-1. What are the chances that our two teams are in the championship game 2 years in a row? So next year, when we make it back there, we'll see who the true champion is. But we both went to the game, and it was a good game, and teams play hard, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Marsh?
Just one thing that's not repetitive. So for those of you who have been around to our city parks and other places, you will see that Madison Heights is now home to the DIA Inside Out program, to 11 stunning pieces of art. This is to credit to the Arts Board, the Active Adult Center, and Oakland County Parks. So on August the 16th, the Arts Board is actually hosting a bus trip, but it's actually being provided by the DIA. So the DIA are sending educated people from the museum here. They will be telling the stories behind each piece and driving around Madison Heights to see the pieces. It does conflict with the Dream Cruise, so if you're a little tired of cars, come out and join. It does require you to sign up, so space is limited. So if you want, you can sign up on social media or our website, and if you can't do that, feel free to call my office and we'll get you signed up for that. But it should be a very educational and fun time. So,
Thank you. In the clerk's office tonight?
Just want to reiterate what Mayor Pro Tem Bliss mentioned, that the council filing deadline is 4 p.m. on Tuesday, July 22nd at the city clerk's office. And we are about to go into another round of board and commission appointments in August. So if you're interested in serving on a board or commission in the city, please fill out an application online. And there's also online all the boards and commissions that we have in the city with a description of each one, which may spark your interest to apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rohrbach.
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, I want to say thank you to Councilman Muir for your work with the Madison Heights Little League. My son participated as a player in the Yankees this year. First time ever playing on any kind of baseball game or baseball team. He loved it. The coaches, volunteers, everybody was just wonderful. They absolutely killed it when it came to taking care of the kids and making it a really great experience, not just for my son, but for all of the kids across Madison Heights that participate. And I see the love and effort that you put in, and I just wanted to say thank you for all of your work on that. The Yankees did not make the playoffs. I also want to mention, I wasn't here last week, I had a work commitment, but the tree grant that we got from the Michigan DNR was very exciting, so I just wanted to say, yay, more trees. My goal, when I first joined council in 2019, wanted to see 500 trees in 5 years, and we have exceeded that, and it's very exciting to see that, and I know we will continue on to reforest our city and doing the survey to understand what we have now and what we, where our hot spots are for heat and things like that in the city. It's going to be a very, very good thing for us, and I'm excited to do it. We have hundreds of people who are on a waiting list right now that are ready and willing and want a tree in the easement in front of their house, and I'm just so excited that we're going to be able to meet almost all of those people that are currently on the list to get a tree with this grant. So I'm so excited about that. I'm going to encourage anybody who wants to get a tree next time to go onto the website, the city website, and sign up to get a tree in your easement. And so speaking of trees and green stuff, Parks and Rec Board of Commission is going to be meeting soon to start really working towards the next master plan for the Parks and Rec Department. And they are doing a survey for the master plan. And we need as many people in the city of Madison Heights to take that survey as possible. There's been a lot of engagement. A lot of folks were out at a few of our recent community events, handing out postcards, telling people to take that survey. So we've had a pretty good response, but especially if you are, I'm looking at the camera, if you are a person in the city that cares about our parks, what we do, how we do it, and what our plan is for the next 10 years, fill out that survey, because then your voice is going to be heard, and cities don't move quickly, right? We kind of, it's like turning a boat. It just takes some time to get to the turn. So that's why we have these master plans. And if you make your voice heard when we are creating the master plan, you know that we can start to implement some of the things that you think are important. So please take that master plan survey. It's on the website. Just go to madison-heights.org/masterplan. And it's also a big icon on the main screen. If you scroll down, it says take the master plan survey. So I just really encourage everyone to do that. There's also, if you want to vote on the new drawing for our library card, I think voting ends tomorrow. So go on to the library website and vote for beautiful youth and adults have, I don't know if the adults and youth are beautiful, but I'm sure they are, but they have done beautiful drawings that they've submitted, and they're up for vote to be selected as one of our new designs on our library card. So please go vote. Voting ends tomorrow. That's all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Plowman?
Okay, so I have a few things. First of all, to elaborate on the Parks and Recreation master plan. When you're doing the survey, there are some places where you can type in and add in some additional comments that are not part of the survey portion. And that's a great place to put in additional comments where you're wanting something that isn't mentioned in the survey itself, like topics like disabilities and programming that you'd like to see, and you can elaborate on those type of things. Secondly, we're going to be, I've gotten with the city manager, and for the master plan, we're going to be building kind of like the trash talks. We're going to have a session just towards those with parents and adults who have disabilities, for young children, also for planning for Parks and Recreation, classes and collaborating with other organizations and those kind of things that's what we're working on putting together. So the date for that will be told in the future. And then also today's the 14th, on the 18th is the deadline for the Madison Heights Beautifications Award deadline. So you can put your neighbors who have been working really hard on beautifying their yards and their flower gardens and everything else in their yard, make it look spectacular. Nominate your neighbor. And like to see these beautiful gardens and yards and properties that we have throughout the city. That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilman Soltis?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So I've just got a couple of things. I'm going to go with the festival was great. I think, 10, 15,000. I feel like there were more people this year than there have been in the past, but it was great. The fireworks show was great. And what's really nice about our festival is that so many people come from part of our community that don't actually live in the city. So we get people from all the neighboring cities that come over, and I know people who do a bit of a travel just to come here to come to our festival and see our fireworks. So great job, DPS. Thank you for doing that. With respect to some of the comments tonight regarding the changes and a lot of hypotheticals, our charter has, we make updates as we go along. And we have seen in recent years hypotheticals that we didn't think we would see. And I'm just going to give an example that is not in our charter, but that council and our community is very aware of. And that is the EPS site. EPS was cited several times. And instead of being a good steward and saying, oh, I guess I shouldn't do this, or I guess I should do that, they continued to fight us, which was their legal right. And when people look at the job of council and mayor, what our job is, our number one job is keeping our city safe. So it's having enough of a police force to keep our city safe from crime. It's having enough of a fire department to keep our city safe from fire and from physical. They do a ton of emergency runs to the hospital, that kind of thing. It's also our job to keep us safe from litigation. And we have had situations that there's a lot of things that happen in the gray area. And some of these changes here, it was mentioned, if this stays a mayor's appointment and the mayor does not make an appointment, no one else can make an appointment. And we could potentially not have quorum, we could not have enough people on the board. There are a lot of issues that could come about. And so this is where, do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But we need to take a look at what the hypotheticals are, because in recent years, we've had a lot of situations where if someone had said 10 years ago, what do you think would happen in this situation? I would say, oh, I think this would happen. And then the reality is that's not what happened, because there's a lot of gray areas. So this is just cleaning this up. In my mind, this is cleaning this up to keep things running smoothly and to keep us out of litigation. People sue the city all the time, just like they sue big companies all the time. Most of them are frivolous. Most of them never get anywhere. But we do have to have our eye out for times where it becomes a gray area. And to me, keeping our city safe, and including keeping our city safe from legal issues, is part of that. So, thank you to those who did improve that. I do appreciate it. With respect to the trees, I'm super excited with everything that's happening with that. When I came onto council in 2017, one of the first things I did was I rebooted the ECC, and Councilor Rohrbach at the time was working with, or volunteering, I guess, with Relief. And when I became mayor and I left that position, she took over of that board. And so I appreciate continuing, not just the trees, but, I had talked about the composting. I called it Adopt a Berm, and that got shot down and became the Bloom Project, which is a much better name. But just these ideas, I appreciate that you have taken those ideas and that you are moving forward with them. And I personally am on that tree list. I want to say 2 years ago I requested a tree, so hopefully I will be getting my tree soon as as well. Our next meeting is going to be July 28th. The time is now 8:55, and this meeting is adjourned. Good night.